Today, I'm going to talk about how to get the house you want for the price you want it. Now, this is going to start way back in value. We're going to talk about value, and I'll explain how that gets to what house you want in a minute. But first, I want to use this analogy. It's called the tale of two duplexes. So if you have a duplex, two halves side by side, attached. They're in the same community, the same neighborhood, the same year, the same condition. Everything is the exact same except for the features on the inside. On one half, you have brand new top line appliances. I'm talking $10,000 gas stove, the top line of everything. You have beautiful light fixtures everywhere, premium hardwood, premium finishes all over the house. On the other side, it's nice, but it's very basic. You have a very basic laminate, you have average countertops, average cabinets, average LG run-of-the-mill appliances. A nice place to live, clean, but not upgraded like the other one. Now, if these were offered at the same price, of course you would take the more updated one. I think that's a no-brainer. But what if the cheaper house was only $20,000 less? You might be the person who says, well, of course, I'd still take it. There's $20,000 more worth in appliances alone. And I love to cook. I am a chef at heart. I might not do it for a living, but it's what I love to do at home. So maybe that gas range means everything to you. You love to entertain. You love to live in a house that just feels amazing. Now, you may love that life as well, but for you, you might say, why would I pay $20,000 to live in the exact same house? And no matter what side of that you're on, you need to determine that for yourself, because you should feel good about it. If you want that gas stove and that's important to you, then go for it and feel good about paying another $20,000 more for all of those features. If you love this house, if it's perfect, if it checks every single thing in your bucket list, maybe it's worth $30,000 more. And on the other side, if you don't want to pay for any of those extras, that's totally fine. And I think that's where you find value, because the reality is, as a person who doesn't want those premium finishes, if a unit with all of those premium finishes is on the market, then you're really not going to pay what they're asking for it. If they want 300, you'll say, this is worth 280 to me. I'm not going to pay a cent over that. And if you like the premium finishes and they've listed for 320, well, maybe it's worth 330 to you. So you're happy to go in at 320. And so determining value for yourself on the house you want to put an offer on helps you determine your top dollar. And that's where we want to start in the negotiation. So determining your top dollar helps us know where to start. So if you're happy at what they're asking and you'd be willing to pay that, but you want to get a little bit more, well, maybe you can throw a lower number at them, go back and forth. Usually, the average house in Edmonton sells for probably $10,000 less than it's listed for. So even if you came down $15,000 more, maybe they'll come down $3,000, you'll come up to $10,000 less, and you'll kind of work your way into the middle like that. That's pretty common. And so maybe you want to do that, and you kind of just want to, just get a little bit less off the total, but you're happy to pay whatever it is. And that's awesome. The other situation that you might run into is that you might not be pre-approved for that much. So you might only be approved for 280, and you see this house and it's great, but it's 320. Or maybe you can afford 320, but you don't want to pay 320. So if the house is, for instance, $20,000 over what you can afford or what you're willing to pay, you should set that as your budget, and you can do one of two things. You can go to them and say, hey, this is what I'm approved for, or this is my top dollar. I'm not going to pay any more than this. We're going to come in at this number, yes or no. And they can decide. The other thing that you can do is, like we said before, you can start lower. If you want to meet in the middle here, if it's at 320, you want it at 300, well, you might want to come in at 290 and slowly try to get them to meet down closer to you. Now, that's not the perfect example because trying to get a house for $20,000 less is pretty tough. Usually, like I said, people start around $20,000 lower and end up about $10,000 lower. That's about the average in Edmonton. And so you can choose what you want to do. We can see what the market condition is. That's the other thing that's really important in this negotiation. If it's a buzzing market and people are, every house you go to, there's multiple offers on it, well, maybe you want to try to go at asking price with less conditions on the sale, or maybe you want to try to you can only go so high, so you want to say, here, we want to get this done, let's close at this price, we can't afford anymore, but we love it, let's close it, and you want to remove some conditions. That's another option. So there is value, and then there's the market, which both determine what you're willing to pay and what the market's going to dictate that you pay. So there's a lot more on this. If you want any more, feel free to contact me. My name is Tyson Giesbrecht. My number is 780-991-7617. Thanks.